Imagine waking up in a Canada where the Liberals are out, Pierre Poilievre is in, and Trump is calling the shots from just across the border. That's not a fantasy. It could be our reality in just a few days. This election is now one of the closest in Canadian history, and today we break down why Liberals are slipping, how the Conservatives are gaining, and what you, as a voter, need to know before Election Day. In this video, we are diving into the final few days of Canada's 2025 federal election, the latest polling data, debate performance, the Trump effect, affordability issues, regional battlegrounds, and the untold backstory of Mark Carney's sudden rise. Stay till the end because the last section may change how you decide to vote.
Canadians have been pinching their pennies long enough. It's time for government to start pinching pennies as well.
For positive reasons, regardless of which party you voted for and supported in the past.
It comes down to one word: change. Nothing has become a more profound symbol of the lost Liberal decade. Carney's platform is reckless and irresponsible.
The numbers do not lie. The race is tightening. A brand new Ipsos poll for Global News just dropped, and it's sending shockwaves through Ottawa. Liberals 41%, Conservatives 38%, NDP 12%, Bloc Québécois 5% nationally, but 25% in Quebec. Green and People's Party 2% each. The margin of error plus minus 3.8%. That means the race is statistically a dead heat. Compare that to just 3 weeks ago. The Liberals were enjoying a 12-point lead. So what changed? The Carney comeback from central banker to Prime Minister. Mark Carney was never supposed to run. He was the governor of the Bank of Canada, then Bank of England, a globalist, a technocrat. Not a politician. But when Trudeau stepped down after years of scandal, debt, and declining popularity, Carney stepped in and Canadians responded. Amongst Liberals, he's seen as the best leader to manage tough economic times, the most trustworthy on the world stage, the one who can stand up to Trump and protect Canada's sovereignty. But here's the twist. Despite these strengths, his numbers are slipping. His trustworthiness rating has dropped 5 points to 27%. Belief that he will keep promises down to 25%. Type with Poilievre now. So is the Carney glow fading already? Poilievre's surge, affordability, housing, and kitchen table politics. While Carney fights Trump, Poilievre is talking about lower mortgage. Daryl Bricker, CEO of Ipsos, says it best. When it comes to the basics, kitchen table economics, Poilievre has the advantage. The Conservative leader has laser-focused his campaign on high grocery bills, skyrocketing rent, the dream of home ownership slipping away. And guess what? Canadians are listening. Polls now show Poilievre is seen as the leader who will fight for the middle class, 28%. And he's gaining on spending taxpayers' money wisely. Again, 28% versus 32% for Carney. In short, affordability is overtaking sovereignty as the election's defining issue. The Trump factor. Is it still working? Carney's team initially leaned hard into Donald Trump as the boogeyman, and for good reason. Trump recently claimed that the US gives over $100 billion in subsidies to Canada. He even floated the idea of absorbing Canada into the United States again. But after a private call with Carney last month, Trump's rhetoric has cooled. For now, the issue, it is no longer dominating the news cycle. According to Ipsos, the Trump issue is kind of drifting out of focus. Domestic affordability issues are back, and for the right reasons. And here is the kicker. Only 45% of Canadians still see the Liberal gaining momentum post-debate. 29% say it is the Conservatives. The underdog effect is real. Who won the debates? The answer is complicated. Last week's English and French debates were watched or heard by about 57% of Canadians. According to Ipsos, English debate Carney 33%, Pollier 30%. French debate, Pollier 24%, Carney at just 18%. Bloc leader Blanchet won among 12% of French viewers. But here's the twist. 1 in 3 voters said NDP's Jagmeet Singh performed worse than expected. Only 10% said he exceeded expectations. Carney and Pollier, they split opinion right down the middle. No knockout blows, just a bruising 12-round fight, region by region. The real battlefield. Canada is not one race. It's 338 micro races. Here's where things stand. British Columbia, Conservatives lead narrowly. 44% to Liberals 43%. Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, they are Conservative stronghold. Quebec, Liberals lead, Bloc at 25%, Conservatives just at 22%. Atlantic Canada and Ontario, leaning Liberal, but tightening fast. Why does this matter? Because even a 1-point swing in swing ridings like Brampton, Burnaby, or Laval can flip a minority government into a majority, or vice versa. Minority governments, a Canadian tradition. Let's zoom out for a second. In Canada's history, we have had 14 minority governments. That's nearly half of all federal elections. From Pearson's Liberal minority in the 1960s, where we got Medicare and the Maple Leaf flag, to Harper's Conservative minority in 2006. Minorities often drive real policy change. And right now, just over 50% of voters prefer a majority. But the math says it's unlikely. Why? Because our first past the post system does not reward national support. It rewards concentrated support. That's why the Bloc, which 25% in one province, could end up with more seats than the Greens or NDP. The decline of NDP. What happened to Jagmeet Singh? Remember when Singh had TikTok on lock? When young voters saw him as the anti-establishment hero? Today, the NDP sits at 12%, up just 1 point from last week. 1/3 of voters say Singh underperformed at the debates. He is no longer the disruptor. He is the distant third. And that matters. Because if progressives abandon the NDP to vote strategically for Carney, that could save key Liberal ridings or cause a split that hands them to Pollier. What Canadians are thinking, approval and fatigue. Voters are split on the big question. 46% say the Liberals deserve re-election. 54% say it's time for change. Approval of the current government is at 50%. That's decent, but not enough for a comfortable win. And fatigue is real. After 9 years of Liberal rule, scandals, pandemic management, inflation, and global instability, people want answers, not just attacks. The stakes. Why this election will define the next decade. This election is not just liberal versus conservative. It's globalist technocracy versus populist nationalism. Economic forecasting versus cost of living frustrations. International diplomacy versus Canada first rhetoric. With the US tilting toward Trump again and Europe facing economic and political chaos, Canada's next leader will steer us through a global storm. Will it be Carney, the economist who warns of danger? Or Pollier, the bulldog who promises to axe the tax and bring back affordability? This is one of the closest elections in modern Canadian history. Don't sit this out. The Liberals are ahead, but barely. The Conservatives are surging. The NDP is faltering. The Bloc could decide Quebec, and your vote could literally be the difference between a minority and a majority. This is your Canada, and this week you choose where it goes next. Check your voters registration, vote informed. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in my next video.